Brought to you by GN and Co. Sure, Genge, welcome back to yet another episode of After School is After School with your girl, Sis G.U. To those that are at home, I hope that you guys are well. And to those that are passing by, all right, I hope you like what you see and you join the Genge, please. I hope you like what you see and you join the Genge, please. I hope you watch ya and you join the Genge, please. Okay, guys. Hi. I'm like all over the place today. I'm a bit nervous. And I feel like I'm nervous because I don't know where this episode is going. But hey, child, we try, we push, we conquer. And also someone said underneath the comments of one of my past podcast episodes that they really think I'd be a great rapper. And you know what? I used to rap at the beginning of each and every episode. Do you guys want me to bring that back? I'm trying to challenge myself. Like, I'm turning 28 this year and I just don't want to lose my pizzazz. I don't want to lose my cool. I don't want to take things so seriously. So I used to do this thing where I'd rap about the topic at hand at the beginning of each YouTube video. And I'm like, you know what? I was kind of good at it. You know what I'm saying? Not that I can rap battle, but I feel like I could do something. So let me know if you guys want me to do that. Like, I just want to be a kid. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to take myself too seriously. I want to have fun. But before getting into this episode, I want to thank you guys so much for the feedback that you've given me regarding my 2 episodes, but specifically the frontal lobe theory. Like, y'all really resonated. And that's really cool. I often say that when you guys relate to something, it helps me feel less alone in my journey and you humanize me as well. So yeah, thank you so much for all of the encouraging words, the comments. Thank you for sharing it. Continue to share it because I'm on the road to 100,000 subscribers. Okay, so please tell your loved ones, your family, your mama, your brother, your boyfriend, your sister, all your sides. You shouldn't have sides, but all your sides to subscribe. Okay, cool. Thank you. And don't forget to listen to me on Spotify as well. I know that I have a YouTube channel and I love the support that side, but please make sure to stream After School is After School with your girl Sis G.U on Spotify. Cool. Anyways, so today is a bit of a continuation from the frontal lobe theory. I spoke a little bit about shame and regret. And I just said that, get yourself out of that because it is a dangerous place to be and it sucks the life out of you. Some people were like, please definitely speak about that. And I'm going to do that today to the best of my ability. So funny enough, I wanted to do a whole episode about regrets. And kind of just tell you guys all my regrets because they're many, I won't lie. But I was like, I don't think that's necessary. I don't need to publicize my regrets like that. But my earlier 20s, I did a lot of things that I regretted. I did a lot of things that I did not like. I did a lot of things that were against my character, against who it is that I said I was, who it is that I wanted to be. And navigating that was incredibly hard. I think outside of the outside voices, when you are not at peace with yourself, you will silence yourself, babe. And you'll hate yourself and you won't believe you deserve anything good. And that's where I was at. So I think because the voices in my head were going off, I deleted social media. I did not want to interact with anyone. I didn't want to see what anyone had to possibly say about me. I didn't want to be perceived. And that is what resulted in me isolating and just kind of being on a need to know basis with the people in my life. And if you're not in my life, don't know me, don't look for me, don't check for me. And I think a lot of the mistakes I made were just mistakes and growing pains, but they were also due to the fact that I didn't know better. And you have to obviously give yourself grace in the fact that you're not always going to know what to do and you don't always know better. And what I know now is not what I knew then. And the younger version of you just deserves a lot of grace and love. You know, when I think about Gugu in her early 20s, I often think about just hugging her and just reaffirming her and reassuring her. And even in the pits that she was in and even the pits that she had created for herself, I think I would just more than anything embrace her and tell her that she's still worthy of love, regardless of the mistakes that she's made. So I had a lot of regret because of my own actions and my inability to deal with my emotions and regulate myself, the person that I was to people, the person that I was to my friends as well at the time. And I think that's a very tricky place to be. I don't know. I think it's kind of I don't know if it's healthy to regret things, to be honest. I have some friends that are very anti-regretting things, but I think as soon as I regret something, it allows for me to ponder and think about that incident and that action that much more to kind of suss out why it is that I feel that way. Like, what about the version of me that existed did I not like? What about the way that I handled that situation did I not like? What about the way in which I spoke to that person did I not like? And I think there's a lot of power in reflection. You shouldn't dwell, but it's important to look back and just assess wagwan. Like, who am I? Am I the person I think I am? Am I the person that I'm working towards and wanting to be? And yeah, I guess in preparing for this episode, as much as I'm speaking about regret, I'm also speaking a lot about guilt and shame. And I was reading somewhere and it said that something along the lines of guilt being we feel guilty for the things that we've done and we feel ashamed for who we think that we are. So like, you'll do something, right? And you'll feel guilty about it, but the shame comes from the fact that you now have identified with that thing and said that this is who I am. And I think shame is therefore a lot more dangerous because it will swallow you. As soon as you make a mistake and you identify yourself in that mistake and identify yourself as that person, it takes away everything else that is good about you. And granted, I think when we look at ourselves in an entirety and holistically, we're made of good and bad. And I don't think you can only necessarily look at the good, but for the most part, we do this thing of having the bad reflect a lot more on us than what the good does. And your bad moments don't define you. They're moments where we make mistakes. We're human. And yeah, I was very much in the vibe of, as soon as I make a mistake, like, I label myself that mistake. 100%. And I think sometimes we do it because we think we're being noble and it's the right thing to do. Like, oh my goodness, I did this, therefore I am this person. And like, you shame yourself and you guilt yourself and you carry these hard and heavy emotions, not realizing that they're consuming you and that you're not allowing yourself to see yourself past those things and past those mistakes. You're not your mistakes. Those are moments. We all have moments. Let the moment be the moment and let it go. I think more than anything, it's important that you learn from your mistakes. If you're constantly making the same mistake, then obviously, babe, something is up. Something is up. But if you make a mistake and you take the time to reflect and see where it is you went wrong and account for where it is that you went wrong, then it's easier to move past it. I think a lot of being in shame sometimes has to do with the fact that you're running away from being accountable to yourself, accountable to those that you've hurt, whatever the case may be. There's a lot of power in owning your mistakes and owning your mishaps. And there's a lot of power in apologizing to people, apologizing to yourself, apologizing to those that you've done wrong. I feel as if you're taking the power away from shame. If anything, I've come to realize that a big part of my testimony is the fact that I'm kind of shameless. Like, the things that I've gone through don't define me, and I found a lot of power in being able to speak about them. Don't get it twisted. Bring shame back a little bit. Like, I feel like we're a bit willy-nilly nowadays. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, my personal problems and my journey is not something that I'm ashamed of. And I come onto this podcast to speak about it because I'm just like, it's life. It happens, like, just because I suffer from PCOS doesn't mean I have to run away from the camera. Just because I made mistakes in my past doesn't mean that I don't have a right to share my story. Just because I wasn't the best towards someone doesn't mean that I don't deserve love moving forward. I think there's a lot of power in owning your story. Like I said before, the devil loves to shame us. He loves to shame us. You'll be sitting in your room and he'll be whispering like, oh, babe, you are the same girl who wants ABCD, but you did ABCDEFGHIJK. Okay. And again, I think it's a very dangerous place to be, to live in your past, because once you've dealt with something, you do deserve to let go of it. The Bible says that the Lord does not remember the things that we've done, our past transgressions, and therefore the way in which he forgives us, we should forgive other people. And that's also another big part of it. And I think I should do an episode on forgiveness because it is so tough to forgive those that have wronged you. Furthermore, it is so tough to forgive people that have not asked for forgiveness, even though you know that they should. Being angry at people does a lot more against you than what it does them. And that's why I believe in being vocal, because you'll be upset, you're hitting the roof, you're going through it. You're having a whole monologue in your head, hey? Like, oh, personally, I would tell them this and I would do this. And that person is frolicking about their day, living their best life. And I honestly, I'm subbing myself, because one thing about me, I can have a whole scenario. And I think there's also a danger in fantasies. Oh my goodness, that's another episode. But anyways, I think we should forgive people the way the Lord forgives us. And forgiveness isn't easy and it's a journey. So if you are struggling to forgive someone, that's okay as well. And I think when it comes to internalizing shame, you may be doing so because you're struggling to forgive yourself. Yeah. You may, I don't know if you guys have ever done something where you're just so shocked by your behavior. Like, you're actually just like, I cannot believe that I did such a thing. Like, me. me. I did not know I was capable of that. And I think in your 20s, there's a lot of shocking yourself by the things that you thought you wouldn't do. And again, I think you should extend a lot of grace to yourself, because the same way you forgive others and the grace you give people is the grace you should give yourself. Your relationship, or the relationship you have with yourself, is undoubtedly possibly the most important one. And you will only meet people the way that you meet yourself. And I know that when someone is plagued by shame, one of the things that they do is that they will try be perfect in other places of their lives, or rather they'll put on a performance of perfection, thinking that it's going to mask the shame that they have. So you will feel shame about the way in which you treated someone or a situation that you've done. And in order to compensate for that, instead of dealing with the root problem and unpacking that, you will then think that everything you then do moving forward has to be perfect. You have to be on your A game, like you can't afford to make another slip up. And I get like that. Like if I make a mistake in my mind, I'm not going to lie, that's the mistake for 2024, babe. You can't afford another one. You cannot afford another one. I even sometimes joke with my friends and I'm like, calling my channel Uncomfortable Growth was a setup, because when I did that at the time, I promise you, I kid you not, I had thought that I'd gone through so much and I was on the other side that like I was going to be speaking about those experiences and those experiences only. Come to find out that I was only going to go through that much more, and that growth is an ever longing, lasting journey. And there are going to be uncomfortable truths that I continue to grow through and I don't know, just receive and have to make peace with. So yeah, I think I've also kind of done that before, because I was a certain way in my past. There's this idea that if I put my best foot forward and if I'm perfect moving forward, then I'm covering and masking my shame instead of dealing with it. And that's not a good thing to do. I also think that people who are plagued with shame are people that are very critical of themselves and critical of others. I found that people that are like super critical of other people, for the most part, you cannot convince me that they are not walking with shame or that they don't like themselves. I think the reason why people are critical is because they are being mirrored by the things that they don't like in themselves and other people. And because they judge themselves, they judge other people. So even when I found myself being hypercritical, I'm like, what is it that I'm seeing in someone that is triggering me? And what is it within me that I've not dealt with and healed? And you have to be careful of that. You should always, again, meet people with grace and meet yourself with grace. And again, if you don't have that relationship with yourself, unfortunately, it does spill out to those around you. But one of the biggest revelations I've had is the fact that, I'm Christian, y'all. So Jesus Christ came and he died on the cross for my sins. And he did so because he knew that we needed him and we needed an outpour of his spirit, the Holy Spirit. For as long as we allow regret to define us, then we allow ourselves to be in the prison that Christ freed us from. And I don't want to be in that place. If he died on the cross for that very reason, then I should be able to forgive myself. And also just with your walk with God, I think when we sin and we do things we're not supposed to do, the devil is for sure on your shoulder. And he is telling you that you're unworthy and that you shouldn't go pray and that you shouldn't repent, because he wants to keep you in that place. And shame can do that to you. Shame can definitely cast you out of your relationship with God, cast you out of community, cast you out from your loved ones. It's the idea that you need to isolate and that you need to punish yourself. Whereas if anything, I think in those moments, you should go towards your community that much more. You should go to God that much more, because he wants you as you are and he knows that we're flawed and that you're trying your best. Paul in the Bible was a killer of Christians. And that man turned his life around, okay? And then he became the man that we know him to be now in the Bible, and one of the best writers in the Bible. And there is a verse in 2 Corinthians 7:10, verse 11 that says, "For the kind of sorrow God wants us to experience leads us away from sin and results in salvation. There's no regret for that kind of sorrow, but worldly sorrow, which lacks repentance, results in spiritual death." Just see what this godly sorrow produced in you. Such earnestness, such concern to clear yourselves, and such indignation, such alarm, such longing to see me, such zeal, and such a readiness to punish wrong. You showed that you have done everything necessary to make things right. And that last sentence really struck a chord with me, because I was like, you know what? When you're trying your best to correct your wrongs, when you're doing your best to be accountable. And once you've done that, you deserve to be free of the things that you've done. You deserve to experience peace. Like the Lord I serve, Jesus Christ, is the Prince of Peace. And I feel like that's a kingdom inheritance that I have as his child. And I don't want anything to get in the way of that. I don't want shame or regret or guilt to get in the way of that. And even regret is a weird thing, because sometimes when you dwell on something you've done for too long, what can it change? You know, like you regret it, cool, but what can you change about it? Like absolutely nothing. I wish there was a time machine. Woo! I would have ran that bee up a long time ago and changed many things. But the truth of the matter is that I can't change the things that I've done. Therefore, I need to accept them and accept the fact that I'm flawed and I've made mistakes and accept the fact that I'm not perfect and it's okay. Shame robs you of everything. I think it's honestly one of those things that when you are in a pit of shame and regret and you feel a lot of guilt, it's so hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel. Or what's even worse is that you can see the light at the end of the tunnel and not believe that you deserve to get yourself to that point. You can see that, like, yo, this is the life that the Lord wants for me. This is the life that I'm working towards. But you can choose to stay where you are because you feel as if you don't deserve it. And it's hard. And having a lot of shame brings about a personality in you or traits in you that I don't even think you're aware of, and parts of you that you have never even met. Like when I think about the version of myself that was extremely quiet, a shy of a person who didn't like to engage in community and family and all these things, that is a part of me that I don't necessarily resonate with, to be honest. Like I don't think that that is Gugu at her core, because Gugu at her core flourishes with community. She flourishes with companionship. She flourishes with family. She flourishes when she feels loved. And I don't want to ever rob myself of that because I deserve it and you deserve it as well. And yeah, I don't know. Sometimes we carry shame for the smallest of things, you know? And that's why I always say, like, own your story, because the devil will use absolutely anything to shame you. Like, oh my goodness, you asked your friend for 500 Rand. Do you have no shame? Oh my word, you failed that test. Do you not have shame? Oh, on that note, I think when it comes to school, people carry a lot of shame. And when you are a student, I get it. Majority of your identity is rooted in the fact that you are a scholar. Therefore, if you're not doing well in the institution that you're in the schooling system that you're in, then you feel like a great failure. And I've also come to realize, I'm having an epiphany on the spot, guys. I've come to realize that because of the fact that I didn't finish university, it affects me till this day. And I have a lot of shame and guilt regarding that I need to deal with. I understand why I didn't finish school, but I think I've kind of identified as someone who doesn't finish things. And I see it when I start other projects and try to do other things. I can feel it because I'm like, oh, of course you're going to quit. You're a quitter. Of course you're not going to be able to see this through because you didn't see that through. And although I wasn't able to see that portion of my life through, I shouldn't then doubt myself to be able to do other things. Or rather, because I've taken on this identity that isn't my identity, I've let it bleed into other areas of my life that it shouldn't. Like I've said this before, I'll say it again. And I'm going to keep saying it because this girl, one thing about me, I will go back to school. I will get a degree. I know that I'm smart, I'm capable, I can do it. And I have the tools that I need now in order to be able to flourish. But I need to dissociate from that version of myself. I need to dissociate from making that what happened at UCT a part of my identity. I speak about it as freely and as openly as I do because it's my testimony, and I will always shout about it because I'm in awe of what he's done with my life, and I'm in awe of the fact that I've been able to move so far past that point. But I would be lying to you guys if I said that there aren't moments where it still affects me and I internalize it. And I feel like that's all I will ever amount to, like someone who did not finish school. Which is crazy because obviously, when you look at my life, and I think when you look at the things that I've been able to do via my platforms, you obviously see that there's a purpose here and there's a plan. And that, yeah, I can do things when I put my mind to it. But it's hard to dissociate and detach yourself from that, especially as a scholar. So if you're at school and you didn't do well on a test or an exam, or you didn't make DP, or you are repeating a year, I really want to challenge you to not hold any shame regarding that. There's a reason. And those reasons may be that you didn't try as hard as what you should have, to be quite honest. The reasons could be that you didn't prioritize your books, you prioritized the boys and the club. That could be a reason. You could have been going through a really dark time mentally. You could have been going through something as a family. There could have been financial blockages and problems at home. But look at the problem and deal with it at its root and let go of it. Because when you have the opportunity to try again, you should be bringing your best foot forward, your most healed self, so that you're able to do it a lot better the way that you knew you could do it than the first time. Bit of a tongue twister. But yeah, I think there are a lot of things, especially in our 20s, that bring about a lot of shame. Like you see people be able to do things, afford things, and you may feel really bad about where it is that you are, and you internalize that, and you shouldn't. Like I am a believer of observing and not absorbing things, like learn to just be able to see things for what they are, celebrate people as well, and have that be that. And also, I think a way to actually kick shame and guilt to the curb is by being a well-rounded person. I believe that you should be able to play every role in life. So there will be a time where you are the Beyonce, okay? And there will be a time where you are the supporter, and there will be a time where you aren't even in the mix. And I think know how to play each and every one of these roles well. Know how to celebrate your friends when it's time to celebrate them, even if things in your life are not going well. Don't look at someone else's success and internalize that and have it become shame against what you have not been able to achieve in your life and the things that you have maybe failed at. Learn to be able to support someone wholeheartedly, even when your situation looks different. I think it's so important. The same way that when it is your time to shine, learn how to take up space. Don't be shy. It's your moment. You've been preparing for this. You've been wanting it for so long. So enjoy it. Enjoy it. And don't let the shame and the guilt of your past mistakes hinder you from enjoying that very moment and being present. No. Yeah, I think that shame is just a thief of all joy. It's a thief of all good things. And I'm still in the process of healing my shame when it comes to certain things like school. And I think obviously I struggle with it because it's such a big thing in so many people's lives. And it was a very big moment for me. But all in all, I can see that this was the path that I was meant to go down. And I have no shame in my story. And the truth of the matter is that I will go back to school. I will obtain a degree, and it will be much later than what my peers have. But yeah, that's just the way things were supposed to happen for me. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. There's some days where I'm not okay. But for the most part, I am okay. But I think that's all I kind of have to say about shame and guilt and regret. Regretting does nothing, honestly, but it's healthy. Again, ponder, but let it go. Don't sit in that place. Don't let your light to be dimmed or taken away from you. And I think sometimes people also impose their shame on you, and that's never a good place to be. Parents say crazy things like, I'm ashamed in you. And I mean, you know what? I'm not a parent. I'm not there yet, but I can imagine that whatever had brought about those emotions was a situation that they were just not ready to deal with. But if something like that has been spoken over you, it's not for you to internalize that. It's not. Like, someone may be ashamed of you, but you're not ashamed of yourself. And I think that's a very powerful place to be. So yeah, walk in freedom, walk in peace, walk in love, walk in your journey, knowing that your path is for you and no one can take it away from you and that it is made for you. Dennis said something in our past episode where he said that not only does God bring things that are for you, but they're tailor-made for you. And I love that, because I was like, absolutely. Like, the path I'm on, I can see is distinctly mine. There's no one else who could, I don't know, be in the same footsteps or be on the same journey that I'm on, the same way that I wouldn't be able to do that or walk in someone else's journey. So yeah, be shame-free, regret-free, be free. That's actually what I'm going to title this episode. Be free of your past. And simultaneously, I think you can't have the future version of yourself existing in your past mistakes or living in the shadow of your past mistakes. The future version of yourself is so much greater than the mistakes you've made. And again, make space for that, make space for her, make space for that version, because they deserve to thrive and to flourish as well. And yeah, like, even when I find myself hyper fixating on my past mistakes, I have to quite literally open my mouth and speak over that. I'm like, yes, that happened, but I've paid, I say this thing to myself all the time. I'm like, I've paid my time. I've put myself in that prison. Because one thing about me, I put myself in prisons. Okay? Like, when something has happened, I've really taken the time to unpack, almost to an unhealthy amount, honestly. But I've taken the time to unpack and to deal and to heal. And whenever it kind of does pop up, when you're trying to go to bed and then all of a sudden all your past mistakes just come flooding in your mind. I've really had to open my mouth and speak against that and be like, yes, that has happened, but tomorrow's a new day and his mercies and his grace are new every morning. And I've grown so far past that. And again, I think shame can hide or help you. Yeah, shame can take away the fact that you've made so much progress and now you can't see it. Like, you need to be aware of those things. To be like, you know what, I made that mistake at that point, but I see the growth that I've made now and I'm a different person, and that's okay. Be free. Okay, that's all I want to say. But I hope you guys enjoyed this little episode. Thank you again for the love and the support. I hope that you continue to love and support your girl. Please make sure to share this podcast episode with anyone who needs it. And yeah, may his grace and mercies continue to be with you, locate you, and to cover you. Mwah! Love ya. Brought to you by GN and Co.